Hello there. Bill Uncle Ray Dean again. Subjects around the world and from the Republic of Texas. I'm going to do this reading on 40 Acres and a Mule. You heard the story of 40 Acres and a Mule, a promise to former slaves. The promise was the first systematic attempt to provide a form of reparations to newly freed slaves. The federal government massive confiscation of the private property, some 400,000 acres, formerly owned by Confederate landowners, and its methodical distribution to former black slaves. What most of us haven't heard is the idea was really generated by black leaders. Sherman prescribed the 40 acres in that order, but not the mule. The mule would come later. The discussion that Sherman and the Secretary of War, Edward M. Stanton, held 4 days before Sherman issued the order with 20 leaders of the black community in Savannah, Georgia. Section 1 bears repeating in full. The island from Charleston south, the abandoned rice fields along the river, for one thing, miles back from the sea, and the country bordering the St. John River, Florida, are reserved and set apart for the settlement of Negroes. Section 2 specified that these new communities will be governed entirely by black people themselves, no white people, whatever, unless military officers and soldiers detained for duty would be permitted to reside by the laws of war and the orders of the President of the United States. Section 3 specifies the allocation of land. Each family should have a plot of not more than 40 acres of tillable ground where it borders on some water channel and not more than 800 feet waterfront coastal land in Georgia and South Carolina. Sherman issued the order, 400,000 acres of coastal land in March. Congress seems to indicate plans for widespread land reform. Less than a year after Sherman's order, President Andrew Johnson intervened and ordered that the vast majority of confiscated land must be returned to its former owners. This included most of the land that the freemen had settled, and the federal government disposed tens of thousands of black landowners. In Georgia and South Carolina, some blacks fought back, driving away former owners with guns. Federal troops sometimes evicted blacks by force. In the end, only some 2,000 blacks retained land they had won and worked after the war. Other provisions existed for blacks to acquire land, but they were inefficient. Prices under the Southern Homestead Act 1866 was too high for former slaves with no capital. The development of black codes and the use of year-long contracts to bind labor also made acquiring land nearly impossible. The federal retreat from the land discrimination was a disappointment that cultivated a sense of betrayal. It also missed opportunity for economic reform that might have allowed Southern blacks to consolidate and hold political gain made during the early years of Reconstruction. 40 acres and a mule. The mule wasn't promised. Sherman was going to let them use army mules to till up their land. In all, we got black people who didn't get it. And we're still trying to get reparations today. Thank you.